Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
A hand from 2-5 at the Beau Rivage in Louisiana. I'm
Okay.
sorry, in Mississippi.
Okay.
So it's a 2-5, it's an uncapped game, and it's been going on. This is like on a Saturday in the early evening. It's been going on for a while. I have 1,800. I bought him for 1,000. I'm up to 1,800. There's a fair amount of money on the game in the game, and the other guy in the villain has me covered.
Okay.
And so there is a lot of straddling, but not in this particular hand. I'm in middle position. I have two red queens, and it's a 2-5 game, so I opened to 30. And an older guy on the cutoff who he's been playing for the last few hours. He hasn't played hardly any hands, really. But he played one hand, like when he first sat down. He's got me covered, so he's got more than 1,800. And he raises to 125.
Okay.
Everybody folds, it comes back to me. So, I have two red queens. I don't know. I thought about well, I think this may be where I made my first mistake. I just called, and I know I was really concerned, like the way the guy was acting. He made like kind of this biggest raise, like maybe he had aces or kings or something. So I don't know what you think about that first decision if I misplayed that.
Well, why would you think that you misplay? I mean, I think a lot of people, when they don't think about poker in the right way, even though that they can sometimes express this, they'll be like, yeah, queens, I should four bet because I'll fold to the five bet, and that's not really the right way to think about it. People get wrapped up in saying, well, I need to define my hand, and someone might come on a low stakes hand forum and be like, you need to define your hand with queens, so you don't need to put in a re-raise. No, you don't. Especially if you're
Yeah,
deep enough for you to set mine, you can define your hand by your opponent's actions in how your hand relates to the board and what his bet sizing is post flop. I actually got into a little bit of a disagreement with the CLP sub from a few months ago when I didn't squeeze ace queen from position after it went raise call call in a game at Live at the Bike, and the guy was like, you have to re-raise because if an ace flops, how are you going to know where you're at if you haven't re-raised pre-flop? That's not how you should think about the game. I have no problem with your call. So you call and you go
okay.
heads up?
I called, yeah. Go
Okay.
heads up. So the flop comes out like kind of a dream flop. It comes out queen 6-6, all black with two spades. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably gonna like if I check raise, if he has aces or kings, he's never gonna fold to a check raise. I didn't think.
Okay.
So that was my kind of my thinking. So I was gonna check most flops anyway.
Sure.
Thinking I was gonna check. So I went ahead and checked, and he went ahead and bet 150. So
So
the
he
pot
bet
is like
150 into 250.
250. Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
So,
So
okay.
I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead with my raise. So I made it 400.
The only
And
thing,
on my
the only thing that I would say about that, so here it checks MP1 to 150. The only thing that I would say about that is that I feel like if he has aces or kings, he's going to bet the turn again anyways, and you can make a small check raise there. I'm just trying to put a guy on an accurate range of him three betting, okay? So I'm not really a big fan of slow playing a lot of times, but I'm looking at this spot, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that you flopped a full house. It's more of an issue of if we put him on a three betting range pre, and he has aces and he has kings and he has ace king, right? There's 16 combos of ace king. There's six combos of aces and kings, okay? So let's say that the turn is let's say we just call and the turn's a blank. And let's say that with ace king, he just checks behind always. He just gives up. But with aces and kings, he continues to bet. Well, you're going to actually allow him to possibly catch up with ace king if you don't check raise now. And you're still going to get that bet from aces and kings. Now, the flip side of that is that you can check raise really small. I would just hate to drive out like ace king when you might be able to get money from that later on when you're still going to get money with aces and kings. Do you see what I'm saying? Like later
I
on.
understand,
So
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So like I'm gonna making him toss the ace or king early when if he had ace king, if a king pops off, I could maybe even stack him.
yeah, and also too, like guys sometimes will occasionally throw in a bluff too on the turn. Like, let's say he's got 16 combos of ace king here and he bets the flop always. but on the turn he checks back mostly on blanks. But occasionally you actually get an extra bet out too of ace king. So you're 1800 effective, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But let's say you check call here, and the turn is like, let's say he has aces, and like the turn's a three, and you check, and he bets 400. You could just like min raise to 800, and you still get most of the money in. Um, I would probably check raise your hand on the flop with a higher frequency this deep because you are pretty deep. If you started at 1K, you probably don't need to at all. And if you started at 100
Right.
big blinds, you probably don't need to at all. So he bets 150, and what did you check raise to?
I made it 400,
Okay.
so it's like whatever 250 back to him.
Yep.
Yeah, he called.
Oh, okay.
Now this is
That's good then,
yeah, so he
obviously.
called.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, he's got ace or king. Now this is where the hand just turns horrific at this point, or at least I'll tell you what happened. So the turn is a red ace. Okay.
hmm
So now we've got queen 6-6, two spades and a club and a red ace.
Yep.
And I thought so. Well, if he has ace king, he's gonna bet. And if he has aces, or if aces, he might bet or might check. If he has kings, he might. I decided to check, and see what he did. Okay.
I think that checking is fine because if you put him on aces or kings, kings are just going to check through. Aces might check through too, but if you bet, you're not going to get a call from kings, right? And you're not
Right.
going to get a
And
call from
if he has
jacks.
ace, yeah, yeah. If he has ace king, he might bet it.
I mean, I don't think he has ace king that much when you check raise. I mean, I throw out ace king, but I think that we can think that he might have a hand like aces or kings and occasionally a hand like jacks. Okay? I don't
Okay.
I don't think he's got ace king that much, and kings and jacks.
When he calls the check raise,
Yeah, when he calls the
he
check
probably
raise.
doesn't have ace king. Yeah.
So
Okay.
kings and jacks are just, if you bet, you're not going to get called, and you lose to pocket aces. So I think that you can check, and most of the time it's going to get checked through. And then on the
Yeah,
river,
it
you can
got you.
probably put a small bet out there. So turns an ace, and it
Okay.
goes check check.
Yeah. So I guess there's like 10-50 in the pot roughly. Yeah. So it goes check check, and the river is a red king. So okay. So now I'm thinking kind of like what you're thinking. I'm like, well, I've got 1275 behind. There's about 10-50 in the pot. So I thought, if I made kind of a smallish or medium-sized bet, if he just moves all in, I'd probably have to fold. Right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't.
you're in bad shape here now because I mean,
Yeah.
somebody's saying that yeah, he could have ace king of spades. That's true. That's one combination of hands that he might. It's not a spade, right? It's like king, like a king of diamonds or
No,
something
no, it's
like
a
that.
red. It's red ace, red king after a queen 6-6 with two spades, all black flop. So I went ahead and bet 400.
What are you trying to get
He
called
moved
by
all
here
in.
on the river?
Ace. I was just thinking ace king maybe, or maybe some kind of a weird straight or something. I don't know. I mean, my thinking, Bart, was I didn't want to face a big bet and have to decide. I thought if I made kind of a smallish bet and he moved in, I could fold and still have $800 or whatever, you know. But if he bets 700 or 800, I'm gonna feel pretty sick. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just a horrific run out.
So you
And
sort of
so I
did.
ended
So it
up.
was almost like a block bet, which I'm not a real big fan of. Like you didn't want to. Well, occasionally I can. Here's the thing about block bets. I mean, in general, I say I'm not a big fan of them. I could sort of see making a. The times that a block bet could be useful in this spot is that if you feel like the guy is so clueless that ace king would bet huge, but he's also so let's say that on the river if you check, he's betting huge with ace king, he's betting huge with kings, and he's betting huge with queens. And you're like, well, but if I bet 400, ace king's going to call, and then
Yeah,
kings and aces are going to raise.
we're shipped. Yeah,
I could sort of see that, but I just don't know how much ace king he has when he calls your check raise on the flop. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean that's where I was at. I mean, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe he has black ace king or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
and how does
vomiting
this
in
guy
my
have a
mouth.
straight too? Unless he's got jack ten of spades,
Oh yeah.
that's
No, I
crazy.
was just
Yeah.
vomiting in my mouth basically, Bart. Okay.
hmm
So I went ahead and bet the 400. He shipped it, and I mean, I kind of thought, and I folded, and he showed the guy next to him, and he threw his hand in a muck. He said he had aces. I guess I believe him. Um,
Yeah, I might check that.
he
I got to be honest with you. I might check that river at the end, because I think that ace
and then
king is probably going to bet. kind of a smaller amount, and then I don't know how much he's going to bet, but a lot of times people are going to bet small anyway. So, you could check, evaluate. It's kind of a crazy check fold because of your absolute hand strength, but I'm not exactly sure what betting really accomplishes all that much, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it was a terrible run out for you, right? But
It was bad. I mean, the only
for the
yeah.
same reason we check the turn on an ace, I feel like we check the turn on the river too, because what you're saying is that like excuse me, you check the river on that king too, because what you're saying is that like you're putting out a bet because you don't want to call a huge bet, but I don't know. I
Well, I was
mean,
thinking I could probably get value from Ace King, and there's combinationally whatever. There's more Ace Kings. I'm thinking maybe I get a call from Ace King, and he was definitely going to raise if he's not going to raise Ace King. He's not going to raise a bluff.
well,
I
you're
didn't think it'd be
you
reasonable for him to raise a bluff. So I don't know. That's my problem, Bart. I got in trouble in this hand. It's like sometimes and this happens. Like you get kind of sick to your stomach when you get these crappy runouts. And I was just trying to figure out.
well, you're correct in thinking that I mean, you're correct. I mean, I think where you're correct in thinking that there are more absolute combos of ace king, but the ace kings don't get there because you check raise the flop.
Right.
If you had just check called, it would be different because he would have all the ace kings. So that's when we do hand reading, we have to go back to the early parts of a hand and we have to like sort of break off. All right, well, how many ace kings can this guy have when he calls a check raise? Is he really calling a
Yeah,
check
that
raise
makes
with
sense.
ace king when you raise? So
Yeah,
there really aren't that
no, he's
many ace
not.
kings. So anyway, Stock, thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.